is a recorded, man.
Yeah,
I
brother,
can
like
dig it.
solid. Right on.
Hey, man, what's your name?
Mother, mother, there's too many of you crying. Brother, 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 there's far too many of you dying. You know we've got to find a way to bring some loving here today. Yeah. Father, Father, we don't need to escalate. You see, war is not the answer, for only love can conquer hate. You know we've got to find a way to bring some loving here today. Oh, picket lines and picket signs, don't punish me with brutality. Talk to me so you can see what's going on. What's going on? Yeah, what's going on?
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, y'all? This is Speaking to the Mic. I'm your gracious and humble host, Michael Morning, in the building. I got Crystal in the building with us tonight. I got DJ Lab in the building, and we are live and on set in the building with Speaking to the Mic. How y'all doing Monday night, man?
I'm good. If Crystal bring up her mic, she probably be doing good too.
Oh, if she bring up her mic, she might be good too. But that's what happens, you know, when you got that phone in your face, man, that phone be calling you. That phone be itching, man.
I'm trying to do the
It's
live
like a 10-piece lemon pepper. When you know you want it at 12 and you can't get it until 6, and you be itching for that lemon pepper.
Well, you can't have the 10-piece no more. You got to get you some thighs.
Some chicken thighs. Damn. Stop it, I say, y'all.
Yes, you got to get you some chicken thighs.
Why is there a chicken shortage pulling up in the United States, man?
That's all we was eating during the pandemic was chicken.
We done ate too much
Y'all done
damn
ate
chicken.
too much chicken.
The chicken done caught up with us. Stop it, I say, y'all. Stop it, I say.
Yeah.
You know, it's okay to experience certain things that we've dealt with. Right. You know, the pandemic has come. It's gone. I'm calling it, y'all. I'm speaking to the mic. It's gone, y'all. Stop thinking like this pandemic here. We out of that shit. It's time to move on. Time to live and time to do something different. Get your minds right. Let's think positive. Let's think good energy. Let's think go get it. Let's think live, y'all. It's time to live. But I got an issue if they trying to stop my chicken, man. You can't play with my chicken, man. When you got fast food restaurants trying to change it over and sell us on some thighs, because everybody don't eat dog meat.
Right.
You know, I came up on me wanting some white meat.
Right.
I know I like breast and thighs.
Right.
Got with my wife and I realized that damn folks really like dog meat. So she was lying there wanting some legs and shit. Well, I said, we got a whole chicken right now.
Right.
We can eat, we can share.
Right.
But the fact that they are having the fact that I got to pay $30 for maybe 12 wings.
Is it $30?
Is it 30?
It might be 30 on Speaking to the Mic tonight. But it's high.
Mike is going to still be the same.
It's high.
You
You think it's
you
the
gonna
same?
eat, you gonna eat 5 thighs.
I'm going to eat 5 chicken thighs.
5 lemon pepper,
That's like a 10
Parmesan. That's a 10-piece.
Man, 5 thighs just seem like it's so much. You think they trying to put us on a diet when they put 5 thighs in one of them boats?
Right.
Yeah, they got 5
teriyaki
thighs.
and fries.
5
Fried
teriyaki.
teriyaki.
My God, man, it just sounds like it's just
It
heartburn.
sounds like a lot.
It sounds like it's just blood
I don't
pressure.
think they might go get the small thighs, the little
They-
chicken.
Okay.
Yeah, they might not
the
be the
smaller
big.
chicken.
Yeah, the small, just like the
Lemon pepper?
wings. Like
The
what?
wings.
What?
Like you got 6 piece, 10 piece,
Right.
5
Yeah.
thigh piece.
Most people get a 10-piece.
Most people eat a 10 piece.
Yeah.
I know I can eat 10 of. I eat
You
about
probably about
15,
20.
20
I can eat 15,
on a
20
good
wings
day.
on a good
Yeah.
day.
So I
Yeah.
guess 5 thighs ain't too.
But it just don't sound right.
It just don't sound
Like you eat
right.
breast.
In one setting.
You
Look
eat
at
breast
20-piece
though.
I
wings.
definitely eat chicken breast.
How you order your chicken breast?
Man, I don't even want to tell y'all how I used to order my chicken breast.
How you
But
used to order?
when him was by himself,
Tell
him
her.
would go and get a 4-piece, 2 breasts, 2 thighs.
Right.
2 breasts, 2 thighs.
So I guess I could eat 5 thighs.
No, you can eat
Damn,
6.
damn.
You
I
can
don't-
actually eat
No, I
6.
couldn't. I could not eat 6
2
thighs.
thighs is 1 breast.
I could not eat 6 thighs.
Did you eat all 4 pieces?
By the time the night was over. By the time the night was over, I'm sure I did.
What's the wing stock? What's the thigh stock flavors? Parmesan and
Garlic, Parmesan, lemon pepper, medium hot.
Hot.
Man, I think I need to get some of these tomorrow so I can tell y'all about how these thighs were to me.
Now I'm not a huge fan of wing stocks.
You don't like
Chicken.
Wingstop chicken wing, hot wings?
No.
Oh no, man. I really like them when you're getting them hot
Yeah, I don't. It's
on the
something about
spot.
it's something about the taste of them. I'm
Really?
still an old school American deli
The
lemon.
taste-
I'm
the
a
taste
West.
of 'em.
I'm a
I agree.
Southwest Atlanta West Side Bankhead girl to my heart. I want
get
lemon
it.
pepper wet with it, hot with lemon pepper sprinkles.
Yeah.
Peach.
That's what happened, man. Larry, you probably don't know, but when folks just used to run that place called BW3,
I don't
Yeah.
know about
just
that.
to eat wings to their heart.
I don't
No,
know
no,
about
no.
that.
Till their
What
heart
the-
was
what-
What
content.
about
Was that
Hans?
all you could eat?
Definitely remember Hans
On
Bankhead.
Bankhead. Get the
Still there?
braised wings. And all you needed was $1.99, $2.06 to
You
be
can eat
exact.
good.
You
Let me
eat
tell you how
good.
bad we were thinking about Hans. We getting ready for football Friday nights. We eating that type of just ridiculousness. Jump
Yes,
before the game.
yes.
And we want to go out there and be competitive.
Yes.
By the fourth quarter, man, we out there sick and tired as dogs. Because we done ate some damn Hans,
Y'all trying to
some
get everybody to
churches,
run.
and everything else on Bankhead
Yeah.
before Friday Night Lights.
Wow.
Damn.
Well, you know what? You was thinking about that. I was thinking about like the restaurants that are in our neighborhoods and how it compares to where I live now. I live
Yeah.
up by Cumberland.
Yeah.
And just the choices that I have, I'm just like, wow. And then you go down to where my girl lives off Campbellton, or even Cascade, and it's like, you get 5.
Yeah.
Campbellton has a churches.
We have our
That's it.
same staples. And see, the thing about it, what's so crazy, it's the same staples that have been in those communities forever, and you dare not touch them or try to change them because all the activists going to come out.
Yeah, but
Don't
you did.
touch these places. Leave them alone. They're history.
They sacred.
They're sacred.
sacred, yeah.
You know.
But you had Miss Winters used to be right there. You had Pizza Hut used to be on Campbellton Road. You had restaurants that were there, and now it's like everything is just gone. And no, we'll never put a Whole Foods over there. No, we'll never put a Sprout.
Yeah, maybe not anytime soon, but it may happen. It may
Eventually.
happen. But what's interesting is that some of those same old communities that we speak on, I mean, Bankhead, the places we talked about, they're no longer there. But
None.
say Campbellton Road, these places look just like they used to look. And we're wondering why we're not growing.
Yeah.
Right.
We're
Right.
still hanging around these same streets and corners and
Yeah.
nooks and crannies.
Right.
And
Nobody
our
wanna leave-
mindset is
nobody
that
wanna leave the neighborhood.
nay, we ain't leaving. We going to get them same ribs and that same fried fish and that same bag with the grease on it.
Right.
Ain't nothing changing. But before we get into our show tonight, I got a big special happy birthday to my youngest daughter, Zoe Piper Mourning. Today is her 10th birthday. Go hard, Zoe, go hard. Happy birthday, baby. Happy birthday. You are great, you are special, and you are going to do marvelous things in the world. Happy birthday, girl.
She's 10.
10 today.
She's your last one. How many?
My
you have?
last, we got 3.
3, and she's
My
the last.
oldest is is 15. She'll be 16 December. My son is 13, and Zoe is 10 today.
Wow. What makes Zoe special?
Zoe is she's competitive.
Okay.
She's very bright. She watches her brother, who's been able to receive a lot of different accolades and different things. So when she sees that, she's been wanting the same trophies and accolades that this dude has been getting since he was of age.
Right.
So that competitive nature has really gotten into Zoe where she really strives to be the best in anything she's doing.
Wow.
At one point she was really into dance.
Okay.
And she, got into dance. starting it off green. Next thing you know, Zoe was having her own solos at the spring recitals, and she just knocked it out. So now we've gone into a new season.
Okay.
This new season, since the pandemic, and she's going to the 5th grade, she is now doing gymnastics and cheer.
Okay.
So
That's like huge. I mean,
Yeah.
I know it's always been huge, but it just seems like now, back then, looking at it, I think I used to see a lot of more Caucasian girls doing it.
yeah.
But now I see a lot of young black people, a lot of people's kids, our
Getting
kids and
into it.
stuff, getting into it. So how is that being a parent of that competition?
well, this is actually our first time.
Okay.
So, but I like how organized and professional where we are doing these, the team that she's on, they sold us from just being organized and being
Okay.
professional because, unfortunately sometimes, first impressions are the last impressions.
Yeah.
So what you want to do as an owner when you're trying to start off these new companies, be it cheer, be it gymnastics, be it a football coach, be the AAU coach or whatever, you got to make a great impression on that
Right.
first impression. Oftentimes you'll lose the parents, and regardless of what you're trying to sell to the kid, the parents are the one who pays for registration, pays for the
Right.
bags, pays for the uniform, pays for the luggage, pays for any travel.
Yeah.
If we're going to put our investment into this long term, we got to think that behind that they're getting something extra.
Right.
So we definitely get that from the entity that she's with right now. So when she first started again, because she's so competitive, it used to bother her because she didn't know how to do certain things.
Oh, yeah.
So just the whole aspect of her learning a new trade, so to speak, was frustrating. But now she's getting it. She comes home excited. How was practice? Oh, I was able to do back handspring. I was able to do a walkover and this and that. And this is at 9.
Right.
So every day when she comes home from practice, it's something new. She's learned a new trade. She's learned a new trick. So she's becoming a subject matter expert, really like she did when she was in dance. So I don't think she's going to be any different and attack it with the same aggression and passion like she does with her school as everything else. My son was the president of his SGA at the middle school, and just and so she comes home, she sees that, she said, I'm gonna be the president in 5th grade. So who's ever competing, they could probably just sit down because I'm coming for them. She wants to lead the pledge. She wants to do the school creed. She's that go-to.
Okay.
And she goes out to do that.
Okay.
She makes them aware that she wants that. So those principals and teachers see that energy in her,
Right.
and they don't have to find out who wants to
Do what?
be on.
Right.
She's putting herself on
Right.
in so many aspects.
And it's a confidence, not a cockiness.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
We're creating some monsters. I don't tell them that, but we really are.
Okay.
We're really creating some monsters for this next generation, and that's what one of our main conversations is about tonight.
Right.
Will the next generation be ready? Succession planning in the family, in the community,
Right.
and in the government. We got to start really thinking about how we came up, who led things in our family,
Right.
and what's next. What's next for our kids?
Right.
We're not getting any younger. The only thing we are doing is aging.
Aging.
The only constant is change. So if we're not running plays and preparing them for the great takeover, then shame on us.
Right. Right.
Shame on us. Shame on us. I got one other stop it I say before we get off into this conversation and kick butt, y'all. Stop it I say to all these bandwagon Hawks fans. Me and Crystal pulled up on the show a couple weeks ago. Before we got to the Eastern Conference Championship, Crystal brought the jersey and wore the jersey of a young man who was leaving.
Right,
We
right,
can't
right,
speak on
right.
it. If you ain't from the A no more, we can't speak on it. We don't even call your name. We
Okay.
call you young man or young lady.
Okay.
Young man. Young
So
man.
at that point, Crystal brought the jersey of these ATL Hawks.
Okay.
And I want to give real fans an understanding and just a conversation of the history of being a fan.
Okay.
Stop it, I say, when we lose one game and you feel like it's the end of the world.
Right. Right.
Stop it, I say, if you thought we was going to sweep a team 4-0.
Right.
Stop it, I say, if you ain't been with these Hawks from the bitter beginning.
Right.
Understand that it's the best 4 out of 7. And this ain't no one win, one loss type of situation.
Right.
We're in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Right.
When we lose a game, hey, we lose a game. the game we lost last night was a heartbreaker.
Right.
Because we really had a chance to pull it off.
Right.
But that's what happens in sports. Be it a missed free throw, be it a foul, be it a missed jumper, a missed layup. Anything can take place in sports. But I got to tell y'all Hawks fans who on the fence, leaning, and your foot has gotten hooked in that little bracket,
Right.
and you like, save me.
Right.
Hey, man, get yourselves together, man.
Well, I have to say as a ATL sports fan, we've been let down a lot. We like get to the end, and we've been let down a lot. So it's like we get to this point, and you want to be like, yes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man,
How did
can
that
you
happen?
And it's I want to blame it on the Falcons. Like I love my
I
Falcons.
think they
Like,
may be our curse.
Like
though.
I love the Falcons. I will go. They know me. I'll fight. I'll talk about your mama and everybody else when it comes to the Falcons.
Yeah.
That's like the worst relationship I've ever been in.
Okay.
Is the Falcons, and I'm still die with them and go with them. But I think they really that Super Bowl that we were so close.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I'm talking about just close, you were whatever party you was at that day. And we were
knew we-
up.
you knew we were Super
you
Bowl
were on
champs.
social media talking so much shit.
We were Super
Like,
Bowl
we
champs
were-
in the first half.
We were just on 10.
We forgot that it was 4 quarters.
And we forgot that it was 4 quarters, and they did too. And to feel that heartbreak
Yeah.
of the ending of that, like, now don't get me wrong, Falcons have always, did some crazy stuff, and, when they get to the red zone, it just seemed like sometimes they just can't finish it. When you're at the game. But that particular incident, that Super Bowl kind of really just was like, what the?
We really felt like we were really had a what they call it when you poke the needles in the little in the little the little
voodoo
dog.
dog. We had that curse of us knocking
think
them
it's a
churches
curse.
down.
I think it's a curse. What you
Those-
got? What you think,
that's
Lab?
church.
I
We
think
knocking
it's a curse,
churches
man.
down.
I-
You just talked about historical buildings.
Yeah.
We done knocked down the whole building. The place been there, and boy, I tell you,
Y'all gotta be used to these types. See, y'all not used to these type of things. Y'all acting like a kid who ain't never had nothing. Y'all ain't used to these type-
tell me about it on
Y'all
the south
used to, y'all
side.
used to championship teams, going to, I'm from Chicago. The Bulls did it 6-7 times. You know what I'm saying? So we know it's
Shame
7
us.
games.
Ooh.
We already
Can't
know
deny
this.
that.
Ooh, he's
Can't
shaming
deny
us.
that.
The Bears have won the Super
Yeah,
Bowl or so. So
yeah.
we know, it takes a little time.
That man from North Carolina did make y'all look good. That's why I hear them big. That's why I hear my partner with. That man from North Carolina made y'all look
raised in
good.
Chicago. He moved to North Carolina.
And the Bears used to be somewhat good, huh?
85.
Right.
Yeah, 85 Bears
So,
won
hey,
that Super Bowl.
I'm just saying, sometimes, when you used to it,
You don't have no unrealistic
This
expectations.
ain't number 2 games.
Yeah,
got 5 more
be
to go.
easy,
Right,
be easy.
right.
That's why I want, stop it, I say, Hawks fan. Stop having these unrealistic expectations. These boys playing good. Sometimes that ball just bounce a different way.
Right.
But we still believe in these Hawks. The best 4 out of 7. It's 2-1. I believe we can come and get these boys. They ain't got the shooters like we got.
Right.
Right.
The Hawks got shooters. It's just time to shoot.
Was that game that they won, was it in Atlanta?
No, the first game that they won was in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Okay, so then they won one in Atlanta, right?
Yeah, they
won two.
They
They
won
won two
two.
in Atlanta.
They won one in Milwaukee, and then they won the one
Oh, okay.
yesterday.
Okay,
The first one went Friday.
The first
Yeah,
one.
Posey won the first one that's at home. Then Atlanta came back
Friday.
and won that stay home. So it's always gonna be.
Man, what is it? Is it? I think it's 2-1 or is it 2-2? I think it's 2-1.
2-1.
I think it's 2-1.
Yeah.
They won one game in Milwaukee. They won our first game back in Atlanta, and we got another game in Atlanta tomorrow. Tomorrow, Wednesday, if I'm
But
not
they just
mistaken.
had a game last night in Atlanta, right? Was that game
Was that
not
the
in
first
Atlanta?
game?
You had a game last night.
Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, it was last night.
Yeah, it was a game last
So that-
night, but then it was a game
Hell, did they
Friday.
go 3-1? I don't remember.
3-3.
Is it 3-1?
Is it 3? I think this is the 4.
Somebody
This
call in, tap in and
Tap
speak in the
in.
mic.
Tell
Let us
me,
know what's
y'all.
going on. This is not your sports talk radio right now. So we need your help right now on that one.
I think they said this is going to be the important 4th game. So what would that make?
Okay, so it's 2-1.
Right.
It's 2-1. But that's a good thing. But no, stop it, I say, to all these Hawks fans who on the fence
Yeah.
and who feel some kind of way about it. We got another game at home. We're going to pull it off.
Yes.
We gonna pull it out. Y'all just be easy, man. Stop it, I
Yes,
say.
be
Just be
easy.
easy. You know, like DJ Lab said, you know, we ain't used to it. But even though they had that brother from the state of North Carolina come in Chicago and change the damn world.
Change the world.
One of my best friends from the west side of
He
Chicago.
He was like, the best basketball players are in Chicago. Let me go there.
Oh,
JP said it's 2-1.
It's 2-1.
but-
Appreciate you that,
All
JP.
right, all right.
Appreciate you that.
Michigan
Appreciate
Warriors
that.
be the best there.
No, man. But that's what we got to get
Yeah.
to. Just appreciate the effort of our Atlanta Hawks, what our Falcons about to do. But I can't deny what Crystal said. We have definitely gotten to the cusp of some championship titles professionally and collegiately
Yes.
that have really they've taken it away from us.
Yeah.
We were thirsty and we saw that blue bottle of good purified water, and damn if they didn't take it away from us at the end.
I still stand by it's the curse of the shoe modeling.
It's the curse of the shoe
It's the
modeling.
curse of the
it
shoe
can,
modeling.
If that's the thing, it could be the shoe modeling. It could be money earning Mount Vernon right there on the corner. It could be all of that. Because Mount Vernon was sitting on that hill for a long time. And my great grandmama, Mama Lulu, used to wear them white gloves and be up in that choir
With the salt peppermint.
and holding people to their seats at Money on Mount Vernon. I've experienced that life right there at that church on the corner back in the day.
Right,
See?
right.
Yeah, it was hard for us back then.
See?
Yeah, stop it, I say, y'all.
Yes.
Get this chicken thing together, and y'all leave these Hawks alone. Please.
Our classmates are being proud of us.
Thank you.
Adrian and Baby.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for tuning in.
Thank everybody for tuning in. And now it's time to get into this conversation that we want to have about the next generation and passing that baton. Will the next generation be prepared? And in talking about the next generation and being prepared, there comes to mind a word called succession planning. And I want to really focus on us thinking about what we've experienced and think about succession planning in our own homes, in our family, in the community, and in the government. Where have we started, and are we starting to succession plan to think about who's up next? And thinking about that question, I want y'all to really go back and think about if you grew up with your grandparents or your granddaddy or that uncle, who was the staple in your families that really drove everything, all of the decisions with where we was going to eat at on Thanksgiving?
Right.
Who was going to make that potato salad?
Right.
Who was going to be the one to make that sweet potato once Auntie Peaches left? You know, succession planning is that simple.
Yeah.
But we really got to start thinking about it now, y'all. But think about it. Who was that one in your family, even if it wasn't mom or dad, who was that person in the family that drove everybody to pull up and told everybody which direction to go?
For me, it's kind of I guess I would say my grandfather, but then my grandmother, she was more like the hellraiser.
Okay.
So people showed up for her just so they wouldn't hear what
Hear her clown.
hear her
Going
clown.
off.
Yes. But my grandfather was like a quiet man, but when he spoke, everybody listened, and it was all about. So growing up, I lived in a house with my grandparents.
Okay.
Over off Bankhead, and my grandfather was the cook. So even when I date men or even with my husband, I never said I'm going to be a cook because I didn't grow up with the grandmother who taught the granddaughter how to cook.
Was in
My
there
grandfather was the chef in our house. So every morning, everybody, how do you want your eggs? So everybody, my cousins, everybody would meet at our house in the morning before we go to school. So our house is packed at 7:30 in the morning, but he's cooking grits. Everybody has their order of how they want their eggs, or you want to scramble over. Like, he was that decision maker. So everybody came to him. And when you wanted to make these huge decisions in your life, you always went to him for your opinion first. Now, my grandmother had 8 kids, and they all had their own opinions. But it was like that. My papa, we called him Papa.
Right.
Once my papa spoke, it was like, yeah, I'll do it that way. I'm going to go that way. I'm going to do it that way,
Okay.
So he was more of the staple. But he was old school. So as far as like saving money and keeping money, he didn't know no more than what he was taught.
Right.
So my granddaddy had money all in his bedroom, under the mattress. He had a hunting coat. So if you ever seen a hunting coat, it had pockets like everywhere on them for your bullets and everything. And it was money in all of those pockets. And I was just like, wow, this man kept money. But do you not know that I'm a hoarder like that with money? My financial advisor tells me all the time, what? Put the money in the, I'm like, no, I got to keep this. Like, I'm like, got a shoebox.
I don't want nobody following Crystal to the house.
I'm just saying, oh,
After tonight.
Don't
pull up.
Don't
you
follow
don't
me.
have to do.
Don't
follow
me. Don't
her.
I'm telling you, don't follow me. That's not what you
No
want.
games will be played.
No games will be played.
So
But
he's bordering.
yeah.
He got the money hid everywhere. But I think their mindset at that age too was totally different. The trust factor of a bank, the
Yes.
trust factor of so many things, the insurance man knocking on the door.
Right.
Like, we ain't just befriending you and just gonna put our money just anywhere.
Right, right.
You know, we probably really watched our grandparents and great grandparents move a totally different way. Now we got Powerball, Mega Millions.
Yes.
My people's was to be on Ashby and Simpson with paper bags and numbers. It was a different world.
With the pen.
With the pen.
With the pen like
it
this.
was a totally different
Like
mindset.
Right.
So you really had to adapt, and these type of funds couldn't be put into no brick and mortar.
Right.
So if you walking around with all these pockets and don't nobody know where that additional came from, you can't just be putting up at no bank like, hey, I want to put in
Yes.
$1,500 today on Monday and $1,375 on Wednesday and
Right.
$1,650 on Thursday. Somebody was like, well, hey, what you doing?
Right.
You cutting a whole lot of yards.
Right.
You fixing a whole lot of cars.
Right.
What's up?
Right.
How y'all moving like that?
Yeah.
So I think our grandparents had to move differently, especially our men, because they were out there in survival mode because they may not have had said education
Right.
to teach them about finances.
Right.
And there was a trust factor on, I don't know nobody who looked like me working no bank. To trust them with my money.
And they went through the Great Depression.
They right.
They went through that. So it definitely would be different than back then on how their thought process is.
Right.
But like for you, what are you doing now for your kids
Just
too?
Well, it's interesting that you said, because on Saturday we had a birthday party for my daughter, and I was speaking to some other adults and just having conversation, and we really started talking about relationship building and how we got to really start running plays for our kids to be prepared to build relationships and hand off legacies to them.
Right.
You know, I really think about, and it goes back to even when I went to Morehouse. The decision for me going to Morehouse from Doug was really like an overnight decision. It was nothing thought out. It was nothing. I wasn't a legacy. It wasn't no parents or moms or grandparents that went to Morehouse or the AUC. Nothing like that. It was really another opportunity that I had in a number of opportunities, but there were things going on that I did not want to leave Atlanta.
Okay.
So in the fact that I didn't want to leave Atlanta, that limited me on whatever options I may have had at the time. And interesting, you know, thank God I was, you know, I did okay on tests. I was a fairly bright kid, and they still wanted to provide for me financially to go to that school.
Okay.
Outside of that, it would have never happened.
Gotcha.
So the fact that I wanted to stay in Atlanta, it was a phenomenal school that I later learned about. It was nothing that I was even coached on about this place.
Right.
And that's how I ended up there. But once I got there, I realized and I learned more about legacy than I ever did in my own house,
Wow.
in my own family.
Wow.
Because in our families, we don't talk about succession planning.
Right.
We don't talk about passing that baton or that torch off on to little Johnny or the niece or nephew who's very bright,
Right.
and you already see potential in them. This young kid who's a great athlete, and we see potential in them. We don't, as a family or a community, buy into supporting a good play when we see it. So when I got to the AUC Center, I befriended a lot of people that wasn't from the South,
Okay.
a lot of people from the West Coast,
Okay.
up north, the tri-states, and a lot of those mindsets were different from down south. You know, as wonderful and forever I love Atlanta
Right.
is, and being from the A, it allowed for me to have different opportunities, but my friendships and the things I've learned from others who weren't from Atlanta that came from more progressive states, more progressive cities, educated me on a whole nother mindset because they were already doing things up north on the West Coast in these tri-states that we have yet to even embark on down south. As much of an influence as Atlanta is, it's still behind the 8 ball on so many things. And we don't want to admit that as Atlantans, but we are definitely, because we're really catching up.
Right.
We're really catching up. But again, the friends that I got from the Jerseys, the Los Angeles, the New Orleans, the tri-states, the DCs, the Virginias, the Chicagos, their mindset and the way they move was different. And many of them actually came to the AUC Center because, say, up west, they don't even have HBCUs. It's not even a conversation. So when you have those conversations to your kids and your grandkids up west in different places, the only thing that they're talking about is Morehouse and Spelman, Clark, Morris Brown, that AUC Center.
Right.
So they're going through high school knowing they coming to Atlanta,
Right.
to the HBC, to Atlanta, to AUC Center. Not necessarily Atlanta. They didn't understand the dynamic of that world, but they knew where they were going. Because a lot of times, be it their parents were judges, doctors, lawyers, entrepreneurs, different bosses out there. So when their kids actually graduated, they didn't have to go and sell themselves the same way in interviews.
Wow.
Because they were going right into their parents' establishments.
Right.
They were crossing that stage, going into mom or dad's practice, law firm, corporation, car dealership, so on and so forth. They came out of there with plays really ran for them. And I didn't know about it until we were gone.
Wow.
So I'm like, damn, y'all done moved back home and y'all doing this? Now that we know, see, once we
prepared
know,
for
we
that.
got to do better.
Right.
And that's what I'm
Right.
doing for my kids. Really plugging and playing, building relationships,
Right.
teaching them that relationships drives everything.
They do.
You can become a subject matter expert at so much, and that can get you so far, but still there's that competition that's just like you. They've gone to that school that was just as smart as you. They've gotten those same accolades just as much as you. But that relationship to that person sitting behind those smoking mirrors, that's the plug.
Yeah.
That's really how we can get our kids on. And that's what we got to think about, the long play and not the short play.
Yeah. I think we have to take them away from the social media and texting aspect. I think that blocks the relationship. I was telling my son, I think I shared this before, when he was trying to buy his car. I was trying to tell him, we had Marvis, who was a classmate of ours who works for State Farm.
Okay.
So she definitely knows insurance. And then my girlfriend, her name is Teresa, she's a carcier. That's what she calls herself, where she helps you buy cars.
A carcier.
A carcier.
Never heard of
Yeah,
one.
we'll have to get her on one
Knowing
day.
is half the battle.
Yes.
Okay.
So he thought that he needed to just talk to his dad and other guys and listen to them. And I was like, Cameron, I'm trying to show you how to build relationships. Like, these are these people's job.
Right.
This is what they do on a daily basis. They're going to show you everything. Yeah, these guys definitely have some input, but you can't top knowledge.
Right.
Like, you just can't top knowledge.
Right.
And he had to actually lose $400 in the process because he did his route
Okay.
to come back around to the route that I tried to tell him about. And now he has this relationship with both of those ladies where I made him communicate, get up, pick up the phone, talk to him, like you said, build this relationship. And now he sees, so Marvis called him about a month ago and was like, hey, Cameron, we saw that your insurance was this high, but guess what? We was able to redo some stuff, and now it's going to be this lot. And in the middle of the week, she said he was so happy on the phone. It was like, are you
man.
serious, Miss Marvis? So he just picks up the phone.
The
He'll call her.
gratitude, yeah.
But that's building relationships. but they are so text and social media world, and they don't know how to interact.
Right.
They don't know how to have real conversations. So that's something like, even with my niece, she's 8. I want her to get more into having a conversation with people. She went to Disney World with my family, and I was glad because I knew she was around a whole bunch of people she wasn't used to being around, and she's really spoiled. Like, and that's just because she's the only one with my brother and sister, and there's nobody else to compete. So the spoiledness is just going to be natural. But now she's in this group of kids, other kids. Now she has to be like, wait, I don't get my way. I gotta, So now she had to do a whole different type of communication and learn. Okay, this is how I communicate. This is how I build a relationship. Yeah. This is, my family is showing me. I know that I can go to Disney World with my mom, but now I can see all my family going, and now we can see different views of what it's like being with other people. So like, that's just teaching our youth like to communicate, getting away from the phone, the texting and stuff, picking up the phone and having real communications. I think that's one of the biggest things with building relationships. People don't do that a lot.
And one of the biggest obstacles that we're facing with right now too is just the whole situation that we're in with coming out of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And that's why I speak so much about being an advocate for the teachers and just having conversations about the leverage that they have. But what's taking place, and what I like to say on here, is that there are no right or wrong answers to how anybody want to teach, educate, and grow their kids. But what I do like to make an emphasis on and make people aware of is that the world is not going to pivot because of how we decide to teach, educate, and grow our kids.
Right.
Those corporations, those places that can be beneficial to our babies, they're going to be continually driving their profit. And if that profit is going to be delayed by people that don't have the ability to communicate,
right,
don't have the ability to people to articulate and facilitate conversations,
yeah,
it's going to be hard for said generation to come out of that hole of learning a new trade, because we've gotten so comfortable with said the virtual school.
Yeah.
Things that will limit our kids from continuously growing. And again, I'm not saying it's a right or wrong answer. Everybody has their different apprehensions on schooling and what's being taught, but what's a fact? You just talked about, your son getting opinions from dad and friends and thoughts, but you could provide facts from SMEs, right, subject matter experts, knowledgeable people on certain subjects, and he had to lose 400 to find out, hey, I didn't have to really take that loss. But sometimes it's a sacrifice and a risk, because that's how you learn.
That's how you learn.
If at that point, now he'll probably come to mom first before he go to pops and the crew.
Right.
But what I don't want our community as a whole to get fixed on this comfortable aspect of virtual learning.
Yeah.
Because I don't think, and again, there's no right or wrong answers, but I just don't think it's sustainable when you got corporations and tech worlds and different things that's going to be able to provide jobs, right, and the future are still moving on. Mm-hmm. They're still thinking about that profit. And in the end, when you always selling comes up physically, because you're going to first be attracted to that person walking in the door.
Right.
You don't know what's coming out of that mouth. You don't know what they selling you, but when they walk in that door, you're going to be like, damn, I want some.
Right, exactly.
Whatever they
selling.
you don't want whatever they selling in a text.
Right.
You don't want whatever they selling on damn social media.
Right.
Because now we're realizing that the hustle man is real. Right. The game is real. Yeah. So you got to realize, damn, when can I boss up and say, I can't be hustled no more. I don't want our black people to be taken over ran amok, bamboozled again, putting us back in time. You know, I know there's apprehension.
Right.
I'm scared too. But what I do know is that other side, they only thinking about the other side.
That's it.
They don't eat nothing but dark meat. And you better understand that. Because if you don't know, now you know. The shit on that other side is real. And until we had these conversations with our kids about what's real and what's fake, it ain't about what's in our box, that how we grew up when granddad was the only one cooking.
Right. Exactly.
We got to think outside the box. We got to think about how they moving up west.
Yeah.
We got to think about how they moving up north.
Right.
We got to think about how they moving in these tri-states. Because what has happened, a lot of those people have moved to Slow Motion, Georgia. And they eating good, y'all.
Eating real
They
good.
eating well with a lot of our ideas.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff we thought about before, but we never had the ability to finish the drill. We didn't have that always selling mindset in us to be like, I know it's a long game, and when it's time to cash in, I'm going to cash in.
Yeah.
So that's what we got to really get to, the mindset of succession planning in our homes, and even going back as simple as when we think about the family reunions. I know everybody had that aunt or uncle or whomever who was the only one that can make the potato salad.
Right.
The only one that could bring the sweet potato pie. We didn't even know it was that damn serious until folks started cussing and fussing. When they pulled up, we were like, as kids, we were like, damn, what's the problem?
But that
What?
potato salad required.
What did they put in the potato salad?
It was
All we knew as kids, it was potato salad.
Right.
But mom and everybody else know that, no, they done threw some other stuff in this potato salad.
Yeah.
We didn't ask for no meringue on this sweet potato pie. We didn't ask for no raisins and all that other stuff. What the hell you doing with the sweet potato pie? So when we see them cussing and fussing about potato salad and sweet potato pie, we think we got to end.
Right. Right.
You know,
Right.
It's really that simple. You know, as our elders get old, our aunts, you know, who gonna make the sweet potato pie if auntie gone?
Right.
Who gonna bring the potato salad? It's that simple. But those are the discussions we got to have. But one, you know, the thing that I think hinders us in our black community is that we don't want to talk about what's constant. Just as sure as we born, we got to die.
That.
Big Mama had to die. Our grandparents, our parents, we are not here forever.
Yeah.
So we got to live our life to the fullest, but we also got to think strategically.
Strategically. Yeah.
If we know our babies are coming up behind us, what plays are we running for them where they're more comfortable?
Right.
Where the people behind the smoke and mirrors are waiting for their name, for Bo Morning, for Zoe Morning to pull up and run their play. I've been waiting on you.
Yeah.
Your dad told me you was coming. That's what I've been doing.
Yeah.
It ain't about me eating. I'm good. I've learned to survive on some good fresh pack of sliced deli turkey
And five
and some
thighs.
chicken thigh. I can make it do what it do, y'all. I'm a survivor. I'm not gonna give up. I'm gonna work harder. You know, I listen to them
Come
girls
on.
when they made
Come
that
on,
song.
Destiny.
I listen to them girls.
Destiny Child.
As much as I ain't like all that stuff sometimes, you know, because sometimes it's like, damn, if you doing all that, what the hell the man doing?
Right.
Well,
You surviving and you living. Well, can you help me out?
well, I think too, Mike, a lot of our generation are still learning, are still trying to make those connections to be able to help connect their child. Like, we have to learn how to build relationships and get out of, I guess back in the day, what they would call cliques, or thinking because of the past, you know, I don't really deal with them no more. But that might be somebody you deal with. Like, y'all grown now. So, like, why not deal with these people on this level? Nobody, you know, they have to push that stuff over to the side and be able to build those relationships to be able to leave that legacy.
Right.
And I just went and surprised my dad for Father's Day.
Okay.
And that was good. He had 7 kids. And it was the first time all 7 of us was together at the same time, because it was always one missing or not. But the first thing we thought about was, dang, we got to do this more often. We got to make sure we do this more. And you talked about the pies, because his wife, my stepmother, made the sweet potato pies. And I'm
Uh-oh.
like, Ooh, these pies are so good. I'm looking at my sister like, you know how to make these pies? Just in case. But, you know,
Right,
you have
right.
to get back to that thing, and to see my dad feel so excited about all of his kids, you know, being there and seeing that expression. It was almost like you said, the family reunion, when you could look back and you look over at grandmama and she was just like, I'm just happy everybody's
happy.
here. And,
Yeah.
you know, and then the conversation now between your brothers, when you're between the age, my youngest brother is 25 and my oldest will be 50. So we have a big wide range.
Okay, right.
But the conversation is great about what are you doing now? What can you be doing? And my youngest brother said he think he has the best position because he got to learn from everybody else, their
right,
mistakes, their
right.
drives, and everything. So he's doing well because he took a piece of pie from all of us to be able to become a better everybody.
Better
you know,
him,
yeah,
right.
better him, and just better for all of us because we were able to make a lot of mistakes for him, and he was able to see that, and now he's like, wow, you know, this is what I can do. So I think it's us too having to build those relationships and accepting and getting past the somebody wants something for nothing. I think a lot of people don't want to build relationships with other people because they think they're after something from you or something, and you got to be able to just get whatever nugget you're gonna get from that person. Now, some people definitely have angles when they come at you,
Right,
and you read it. Like if you in tune with yourself, you can read those
Right.
angles and all that kind of stuff, and you like, yeah, but get whatever it is you're supposed to get from that person, and that person might be that one click that you need to go to that next level or
Right.
to help your child.
Right.
And conversing with people. I tell the women and the young girls, I'm like, you speak to that lady that's sitting next to you. You don't know who she is.
Right.
You don't know who you're talking to or who you're sitting next
Don't
to.
let them just get away.
Yeah.
Especially if you think that they're somebody.
that part.
Yeah.
Like, don't ever think that they're too high for you to speak to. And before you know it, you speak to these people and bam. Yesterday we had a women's meeting and literally we were walking up, everybody cleaned up, we was walking out, and one girl said something to another girl, and before you know it was a whole nother conversation. She was like, and this is why I came. Believe we were almost leaving. And she said that one thing, and she said, this is why I came, because I needed that from her. And they were able to connect on a level that now we all like, okay, now we want a whole investment group. We want this group to be a whole investment group. So when the meeting was over and we're walking down the hall, we've had a whole nother meeting in the hallway about that next thing. And it's good to be able to communicate, talk.
Absolutely.
That
Absolutely.
wasn't a text, that wasn't a Zoom,
Right.
that wasn't a virtual thing. It felt so much better to be in the presence
Yeah.
of other people and to see the actions in the face. You know, when you're on these Zoom calls and the virtual, people doing other stuff,
Yeah.
kids in the background, food,
They're
cooking.
not as focused.
Yeah, you're not
Because
as
over
focused.
time, you really just tap out of habits.
Yeah.
Anything that becomes habitual and we're constantly doing it, we dry out and we
Yeah.
tap out of it if it's not any creativity in it.
Yeah.
You know. So thinking about after we didn't get out the family and thinking about the succession planning with that, then there comes next that we got to really think about in our community. It's the community. When we think about the community, really go back and think about outside of when you were getting advice from your granddad and your grandma and your uncles and everybody. What was the other avenue? It was the community. And the community consists of, be it your principal, be it the pastor, but those were places that you went to, or be it you frequent those places, or you were infrequent with them. They were places and people of influence.
Right.
And in those places, they created and they saw potential. Your principal, I know for instance, when I think about how the school system is now, and I think I know now we're getting more engaged because our kids are getting older.
Right.
But I knew when I got to Doug, we got to Doug in the 8th grade in 89 and came out of there in 94. Like the reality of it, the principal who was in that school was a man of influence,
Right.
of power,
Right.
of leadership, authority in Atlanta. I don't even know, and there may be names that are out there now, who still hold that type of power and influence in the community because they had longevity. They had stability in these schools. Now you're getting principals that are in there 2 years,
A year.
1 year, 3 years, 6 months. There's no stability, but we still think our kids should be getting something new. That's not realistic.
It's not.
If you don't have any stability at the top in leadership, how the hell you think the teacher's gonna know what play to run when little Johnny come in there wide open?
Yeah.
When last year we didn't plan on ABC, but now we doing DEF. You know, when there's not stability in the school system, you know, even unfortunately some of our religious outings, you know, you have the rise and the fall of pastors
Yeah.
and preachers. You know, when there's not a lot of stability where people can really have their mindset pushed on an audience, longevity wise, where it's constantly being talked about. So eventually that play is running.
Right.
The community is having the same thought process as these thought leaders. That's why it doesn't happen.
Yeah. And how can you help a child think about commitment and consistency when there's none at the top?
When they don't see any.
One of the things, like you said, with us, our principal at Collier Heights, Mr. Twiggs, was there from my kindergarten year all the way through my 7th grade year. That was a commitment. You knew that those people, we maybe got 1 or 2, maybe 3 new teachers out of my 8 years of being at Collier Heights. Then when you got to Doug, you knew Dr.
same
Hill.
consistency.
Like it was the same consistency. And that meant if they're consistent, I need to be consistent.
Right.
But now you got different principals coming in and out. So what do you think these kids like, man? He ain't gonna stay. He gonna sleep with somebody, or because you know it gets out with the kids. It don't
Yeah.
take long
Yeah.
for them to understand what's going on, and they smarter than anything now. So the top, the head. We
Yeah.
talking about superintendent.
Yeah.
The superintendent don't stay long. What was our superintendent name?
Her name's at the top of my head.
It was a
It'll come to
man.
me. Oh, back when we was in school?
Yeah, when we was in school.
I forget it.
Y'all, what's the superintendent name when we was in school?
It's gonna come up.
Uh-huh.
It's gonna
I
come
mean,
up.
but he was there forever.
Yeah, he was.
He was there forever. And it was like,
I think our whole mindset, even when we really think about what Dr. Hill did for us as a principal, I mean, he was there before we got there. But the mindset that he created in our pride for the school, our respect for one another, and our protection of the community
yeah,
was at an all-time high.
yeah,
When you have people infiltrating the community that's not from the community, when you have people that are driving narratives that's not from the community, and you think you're going to give teachers a play to run when every year they getting a different strategy.
a different strategy.
But we're expecting them to be super. We're expecting them to be great and to learn how this principal want to lead within from damn when that contract goes up July 1st, August 1st. They don't establish who gonna run the school until damn June 30th. So now you got these teachers who you want them to do all of, above and beyond with this new principal who don't even go into office until August 1st.
Right.
We got to cut it out, y'all.
Yeah,
Stop it, I say.
that's a stop it, I say.
We got to cut it out. We got to really get into but that's when we drive succession planning with our kids. When we create that environment and mindset for them that no matter what obstacle, no matter what's in front of you, you can adjust, you can be flexible, and you can overcome.
Well, that's why my son's generation, they don't believe in staying at jobs long. Like the people that I know who are in corporate, they say these young people come in and I'm gonna be CEO in
It's
2 or
rough.
3 years.
It's rough.
So they don't see the climb, but just like you said, look at the consistency. When people are changing at the top, they like, so why you think I'm gonna commit to a 2-year contract for you to pay off my college? They don't even see that. My son told me, Chase want me to be there for 2 years. I said, do you not realize 2 years in February, in March is gonna be the 2nd year of the pandemic?
Right.
I said, did you see how fast that went by? He
That
was like,
quick.
oh yeah, we just celebrated Christmas, bruh.
Yeah.
And when you get to pay these good bills, it ain't but 15 days in a month.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The mindset of the generation, even when it's time to think about employment, is so bad because they're actually on the back end. Your son and them are on the back end of body blows and pilots that were ran with that generation before them. Because what happened, a lot of the corporations was wanting those creative people, wanting all that new energy and that new blood. But what they realized after training, after paying for training, after putting a lot of money into these new creatives, that they weren't culture fits. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. You could go out there and think you're gonna get this person to be on the team because they just got it. But if the team been together before this person got there, this team has a mindset that's fixed on how they move and how they operate. In our circle, we got a mindset of how we move and how we operate. So it's gonna be hard for anybody to penetrate something that has already been established with said parties. But you got these corporations, because again, they are profit generating worlds. Yeah. So they knew they had a time where those people who was in those jobs had to retire. So now we got to get the new crew up to get some of these entry level positions. So we got to train them. We got to invest in them. We got to send them back to school. We got to see potential. Yeah. They're seeing potential before we see it at home. But what happens is once they saw it, and the world was such an enabled and entitled society, once they got the training, once they learned the job and became SMEs,
that's it.
They rolled out.
Yeah.
But see now, the corporations are going back into a circle. They've had that pilot experience with all that new generation. Okay. Now they not paying for the training no more. Now you got to come back to the days of old of, do you have experience?
Right.
You know, Tip, walk me through this. What experience do you have? You know, they're even now, you know, because at one point, going further in your education didn't really mean much because that didn't mean you could do the job. Right. You know, corporations realized that just because you had this additional paper don't make you good at making me more money. Right. The people that make me more money are the people who have experience to drive what my mindset is, my mission, my values, my belief, my principles for this said organization. So now they're not trying to do any more training. Now they're not trying to pay no more young folks because they know it's costly. Right. So now it's going back to they looking for the people with experience. So now that has happened. When they get to looking for people with experience, they go back and think about everything else that's happening in the world, and the corporations have gotten to a point where they're going back to how they used to do things. Right. You know, they're not looking for the young and up and coming people because they weren't able to provide you any what's the jobs in the summertime? The interns.
Oh, the interns.
They couldn't provide you no interns the past 2 years. Yeah. So they don't know nothing about you. Yeah. All you can do is have virtual conversations, and a lot of people who sit in those seats are tapped out of virtual conversations. Yeah. They know the virtual conversations really don't close the deal for that big check to be made. Right. For that entity to say, I want to partner up and network with you. Yeah. So, but we as a community can't wait till the other side is reaping the benefits. We can't put up the blinders.
Yeah. My son was in that program Year Up, and it helped them to Year Up connects with other companies so that they can have those interns in. Right. So my son was able to do on-the-job training. Now, just even being transparent, I think they paid them like $300 a month, which is it's decent, but you know you're still supposed to be with your mom or whoever is living somewhere. But you didn't get all these perks that these, like you said, these kids were getting coming into these jobs and all this training and getting paid for it. So they looking to come in making 32, 35, 37, 40, 50, you know, that wasn't, but like you said, they don't have any on-the-job training. Right. They don't have any on-the-job training. So when my son did finish his program, the first 6 months, the program teaches them on their hour. They have to go know how to dress, learn how to do resumes, you know, how to build relationships, and then the next 6 months is they go and apply for these interns, and they get these internships for the next 6 months.
Right.
Well, the object of the program is for you to get hired by the job that
Right,
you intern with.
right.
So my son did get hired.
Right.
And he was well
a
respected.
phenomenal program.
Yes, he
Yeah.
was well respected. One of his managers told me, I never have to sell him because he sells himself. And that made me feel good. But there's a foundation that helped him with that. You know, going to this program helped him to learn to be on time because these kids now, they don't understand the 30 minutes before you're supposed to be there or the 15 minutes on time is being late.
Right.
They don't understand that. They believe they're supposed to be there at 9:05 is okay.
And another thing that's so priceless in what your son has gained are relationships that he probably would have never gained if not in that environment or arena with people like him and older people who could say, I don't have to sell him.
Yes.
Because even some of those people, they may not be at that same organization 6 months, a year later. They may be a VP or a president or CEO
Somewhere
at some
else.
other spot.
Yeah.
But what they're going to always have in the back of their mind is remembering that young man or young lady who they never had to sell.
Yeah.
That person who they knew was going to be a winner.
Yeah.
That person who they knew was going to be dependable. That person who they knew that they could trust.
Yes.
And that's what it's all about with all of it.
Yeah.
Trusting who's going to be next up in line. You know, if I go to CEO, if I go to HNIC, who I'm going to pass it down to?
Who am I
because
gonna-
they going to make me look good. They
Yeah.
going to keep me looking better. If I hand it to somebody who going to totally make the lemonade, make the potato salad the wrong way,
Right.
they going to be pissed off at me, y'all. No matter what hat I got on, no matter how high I go up, if I put somebody on that potato salad, that sweet potato,
Yeah.
who don't know what they doing, everybody gonna be mad at me because I'm the one who funding the family reunion. I'm the one who managing the organization. I'm the one who got the buses for everybody. I'm the one bringing the family together.
Yeah.
Right.
And they gonna start complaining about any and everything because they weren't involved with none of the decision. And I done said, auntie, whoever can make the potato salad.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's how it is with me in the salon industry. So when I have an assistant, my goal is to ultimately help you to take over some of my clients. Like, I'm not going to be able to do this forever. I really don't want to do it
Right,
forever. My body is not going to allow me to do it forever. But they get in these assistance positions and they think, well, I'm not going to sit here for 2 and 3 years to be behind you and do a shampoo, do your shampoos, mix your colors, or do the towels, or sweep the floors. But like I told my assistant the other day, she really values, I appreciate her because she really, really understands the value of the positions that she's in. I'm like, do you not understand what you're learning? Because when you start off as a stylist, you won't have an assistant. Everything that you're doing now, you got to do that plus
Okay.
this part, what I'm doing. And this is the finale part. This is the huge part. This is the main part to get them to keep coming back for the results.
Right.
But the experience is what you're learning. And you're learning how to give someone an experience. And when you can value that, like, they think they're supposed to make the same amount of money that I'm making, but you're learning the knowledge. All the knowledge that you're getting is so valuable that if you continue to stay in it, you could be where I am and surpass me because I do believe in the slingshot. Like, I want to sling you forward. I want you to be greater than me. Heck, that's what we're supposed to do. I'm not no crab in the barrel. I
Right.
want you to be greater than me. But if you're all in this mindset of, oh, I just feel I'm at the bottom. Oh, she thinks she just gonna use me, or she's not doing. No, it's not a using, sweetie. You gotta learn how to give someone an experience to be able to get to that. Because if you don't, guess what? You're gonna be like the rest of the kitchen titchens.
And that's a point I was going to make is they have to be perceptive to what we're passing on
Right.
to them.
That's it.
You know, like you were saying earlier, in the land of social media and internet, everything's so fast. So nobody wants to take the time to learn anything. They figure like, I should be, they don't want to take time to to climb the ladder. They think they should start at the top of the ladder,
Yeah.
nowadays. So they have to be receptive of what's being given. If they're not receptive, then we have to figure out another plan because if they don't want to take in what we're giving, pass them on to learn to better the next generation, then we may have to skip a generation while we're able
Yeah.
and teach the next
And that's
Yeah,
generation.
definitely
and
what's taking
I
place.
think that's
Right.
what's
that,
taking
that
place.
skipping of generation is definitely taking place because society is not going back to what I said earlier. Society and these corporations and the people who write the big checks, they don't give a rat's behind about the obstacles.
Right.
They gonna keep it moving.
Right.
They don't care nothing about your pain.
Yes.
They don't care nothing about you being uncomfortable.
Yes.
Their ultimate goal is the profit.
That dollar.
Mm-hmm.
That dollar. And when we realize that no, they don't care about your aches and pains.
Yeah.
No, they don't care about this and that. Then we could attack it a little bit differently. I think. You know.
We didn't set them up for adversity.
Yeah. It's
They
yeah.
they don't know how to handle adversity because we were there to protect and cover. Mainly because we didn't want them probably to experience what we
What we-
had
what
to
we
go
experienced,
what we
right.
had to go through. So when their cell phones broke, you know you could go back to Verizon and get the insurance, and they had it the next day. And our excuse was, well, I need to be able to communicate with them. Or, you know, when it was an issue at the school, nowadays, or when my son was in school, you had more parents coming up to the school like, what's wrong with the teacher? Well, what's wrong with your child?
Right.
Let's say what's wrong with your child. So, like even with the pandemic, I think that helped a lot of parents realize, no, it ain't the teacher. It's little Johnny. It's little Johnny at
Lil
home.
Johnny's off the
yeah,
chain.
little Johnny is off the chain.
I've watched and observed Lil Johnny from 9 to 4.
Yes.
Lil Johnny's a problem, y'all. Y'all need to address Lil Johnny's ass at the house, y'all. Y'all need to stop thinking Lil Johnny is an angel, y'all.
Right.
And come August, y'all need to really give these teachers a lot more leverage and leeway than you have been.
Right.
The first thing to do is become active with Lil Johnny.
Yes.
Find out what's going on with Lil Johnny.
Yes.
Don't wait for the teachers to call you and you feel like, well, you never saw Lil Johnny do this.
Yeah.
Right.
But like
Ain't nobody
Roxanne-
got time to be calling you. That same teacher want to go home to his or her kids or their husband or wife.
Yes.
They want to go and be a coach and get extra money on the side.
Right.
Their side, they ain't got time to be
They don't have
calling
time.
y'all. So y'all got to really understand that parents, they got a life too. Every time they reach out to call you, it's a reason.
Yeah.
They don't want to call us. They ain't got time. They out there courting, trying to get a date. They want to go to the movies. They want somebody to take them out.
Yeah.
They ain't got no time to be calling your phone and then you questioning they why.
Yes.
When they see mom and dad questioning they why, that's why the kids say why.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Question
right,
Oh my
every
right.
damn
God,
thing.
they question everything. Roxanne said nobody wants to be of service. Servitude allows them to learn. And that was one of my biggest things when my son was growing up. I do community service. And I took him at least 2 to 3 times a year to give to the homeless. We would feed the homeless. I would do the hair. And I would tell him, I'm like, go and get some of your toys, not old raggedy toys. You got to learn how to give something that you want. And that's a whole spiritual thing. You know, you got to give away to be able to get something anyway. And I will make sure he gets batteries for all the toys, whatever needed battery. We make sure we clean them up. And just that service alone, that humbled him into knowing that everybody didn't get to live the way you were able to live. And these kids, if they don't understand, if they don't get a chance to serve, like, they gotta get into that mindset that they have to serve. So even with your kids, because that would probably be skipping a generation, my son's generation, is getting them out there to do the Habitat for Humanity. These programs that used to be really good. On Monday when they're off on MLK, I think when at one point it was not a day off, a day to serve. You know, getting them in the mindset of we need to be thinking about what are we doing. Yeah, we can have Thanksgiving, but we need to go and feed some people who not gonna eat before us early that morning or Christmas morning. Those different
The
things.
parents definitely got to be the driver.
You
for that.
you're
Because
right.
what happens is oftentimes, again, we lean so much on the educators to teach our kids.
Yes.
So if we know these things when we mention the words, they got to be more of service. We can't wait till they're at that age where they making their own decisions. We got to, you know, even in mine, with mine, and I love them, and I know what we creating. Ain't no decision rights around there. It don't happen. There will be a time when I pass it on to you, that baton. But right now, the we're in prep mode.
Right.
We're going through prerequisites right now. This is boot camp,
Right.
and it's
Right.
official. And we're not playing no games. But when we know better as parents, we got to do better. When we say they got to be more of service, then that means when they're at that age, when they want to go get a video game, when they want to go to the movies, we got to make that a part of their routine as well.
Yeah.
You know, just like you want to go play sports or go do gymnastics. Hey, community service is also a part of your schedule. Going to church or whatever it be, showing them what it means to be of service. If we wait to try to tell them that at 16 and 17, when they've been asking us why for all these years, and now they can just walk out the house on you because some of us hadn't set that standard,
Right.
it's too late.
Right.
You got to present them with those service options when they are asking for things, when they're in the asking age, not when they're in the questioning age. You know, and that's that skipping of generation when it comes to teaching. Crystal mentioned something earlier about the kids and interns and different things, and talk about what happens really with on-the-job training. And that was the third part of will the next generation be ready? When we think about the succession planning that we talk about that needs to happen in the family, what needs to go back and happen in the community with the stability, as well as in our governmental political leaders. We just saw what on-the-job training looked like with the person who used to be the head of the United States of America. That was a prime example of on-the-job training. People don't think it no differently.
Yes.
Don't think it any differently. When you think about the jobs that you've gone out and had to interview, be it face-to-face with an interview team, one-on-one, or with a panel, you had to sell yourself.
Yes.
We got people out here now going for positions where they're not interviewing.
Right.
They're just pulling up.
Yeah.
They don't have no experience. They have no on-the-job training. When you think about that resume that you had to put together for yourself, and one of the questions you'll get when you sit across from that panel is, what sets you apart from him or her? If you're internal, if y'all all doing the same job, what has set you apart? What are you doing differently that they don't do?
Right.
Why should I give you the job over him or her? We've experienced a person that has had has had on-the-job training, no experience. They couldn't have passed an interview. But politics is the only place that you can go into that you don't have to pass the interview. You don't have to have the experience. It becomes a popularity contest.
Yes.
It becomes a numbers contest. And it's unfortunate because these are people who are making decisions for our lives, for our communities, for our next generation. That's why we got to get more involved with the things that are happening in the internal elections,
Right.
in the community elections, not just the presidential elections, not just the governmental elections, these county elections.
County.
We got to see who these people are. Stop pressing yes for their name and you don't know who the hell they are.
Right. You just
And
trying
you
to
be
see how
pissed
many
off
signs you saw.
and you mad 6 months or a year later because something they did ain't right.
Right.
You
And
know?
I think that's a road that we can jump on, Mike, with speaking to the mic. Start getting these people who, quote unquote, people really don't know, and getting them on here to answer some questions from the people.
Right.
Like, we need to start with that. Like, why are these laws for the kids so leniency?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
why are they committing the crime and they got so much leniency? But that comes with us voting and understanding who we're voting for and
having those conversations.
and having those conversations.
You're exactly right.
Definitely.
We have let them off the hook.
We have.
We have let
We
politicians.
don't allow them. We don't.
We have let activists.
Yeah.
We have let school officials.
Yeah.
We have let people off the hook for so long, and now it's time to challenge.
Right.
It's
We
time
don't require.
to now. You know, as much as our kids ask us why and question, It's time for us to question what's going on if we want our kids to get out of the questioning mindset.
Yeah. Well, I think they're gonna be there because that's just them. Because you can't just tell them this is why it's gonna happen. They want to know why it's gonna happen like that. They always, and you know, in your mind, you just like, because I said so, and they looking like, but I just want to know why. Like, why do we have to do it like this? Why is it like this? And you know, you think about it when after you go to your room and like, oh, I'm tired of him asking why, or I'm tired of her asking why, and you like, but damn, really, why?
Me and Lab, just last week, I think it was, when we talked about just the suspicion of even the good faith effort. You know, sometimes it's just fixed in us to be suspicious about whatever.
Yes.
Whatever is going on. And in our community, we're so suspicious that even when we get wins, we question it.
Right.
We questioning the win. We questioning when they trying to audible and still feed me some chicken, even though they changed it to thighs.
Right. Why they doing thighs?
Why they doing thighs all of a sudden?
But they
know it's a shortage.
Right.
They ain't got to tell y'all about the damn shortage that's coming down the pipeline.
Right. They are already catching, being in control of what's going on, trying to help you, and here we come with, but why?
But why? But that's just. But it's It's human nature, but it's definitely a community-based mindset that our people have been fixed on forever, because it's hard for us to give people wins when we've seen the hustle man at his best.
Right.
You know, it's wild. I mean, Lab and I talked about it, even with the Juneteenth celebration, and it's now an official holiday, etc. You actually had people questioning and suspicious of the why.
The why.
You know, instead of applauding the effort, what Biden and Harris is doing, why it had to be them? Why couldn't nobody else give it to us before then? Why Barack couldn't give it to us? Why ABC? Well, damn, if we question everything, every move that happened, eventually, you know what they're going to say? I can't make these folks happy.
Yeah.
Mike, I ain't gonna let you beat up my people like that.
Oh, come on with
question
it then,
why,
Lab.
because when we go and buy the 60-inch TV and get the box, it ain't nothing but rocks in it sometimes. So we gotta question why a little bit. We can't just go with it just because they say it's so.
Okay.
Yeah, and
I mean, think about when we got in line for that shot and got syphilis. We gotta question why.
Okay.
Why?
Just a little bit.
I get
Exactly.
And I get it. I'm guilty of it. I question everything. I'm very guilty. I'm suspicious of everything.
Right.
Somebody say, "Well, I'm gonna do something." Why are you doing that? You know, I question. I may not question it out loud, but I'm in my mind. I'm trying to figure out what the angle is.
Right.
Well, why you say it like that? Well, you know, and I'm very guilty of it.
No doubt.
I'm not gonna say I'm the best. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm guilty of it. I'm
Okay.
suspicious of everything somebody says to me, how they say it, the tone in which they say it. I'm checking everything.
Right.
So yeah.
and I think it's good for us to be suspicious, and it's something that we inherited. Like, it was always an angle for us in life and our culture. Somebody always had something for us or against us. So we're going to question everything. So now you want to give us Juneteenth? Like, damn. Like,
we only been asking it for a
100 years.
For 100
like,
years. Why
gave,
now?
Y'all gave Columbus a day and he ain't even discovered nothing. Like,
why now?
Like,
what's coming behind this?
Right. So Roxanne said we need to do a panel of choice politicians. Yeah, that's one thing we're gonna get on. Is like, let's get to making a date, kind of like closer to the voting, because that's when people really, really, really pay attention.
Right.
So like September, October, really get a thing on Mondays, and we'll have it somewhere where everybody can come. Maybe over at Gresham Giles,
No doubt.
Studio 6,
Why
somewhere
not?
like that.
Why
and
not?
try to get these people in here and answer some hard questions. So that's one of the things we want to do on Speaking to the Mic, is get people to come in. Y'all share the videos, share it, so that we can get those questions answered. And we'll save those questions just over time. If you want the questions answered, we'll save them for that. Like if you see something in your community, you want to know it, like say that question, write it down, send it to us, and you can DM
we
speaking
can
to the
address
mic,
it,
so we
right.
can address that, so we can build up something to ask these people and stop letting them get away with going by how pretty their sign is in
Just
somebody's
showing
yard
up.
or how many signs they put out, because that's what you it's like a repetitive. If I see this person's name repetitive,
Yeah.
then I'm like, oh, that's who I need to vote for, because I've
Right.
seen their name like 100
Right.
times going down the street, and it's in everybody's yard, so they must be good because it's in everybody's yard, as opposed to really understanding.
We got to
what
stop
these
letting people just show up and be opportunistic on our behalf.
Right.
Because what happens is, after so many times of people went on the job training, it puts our kids behind.
Yes.
It puts us behind. It puts the community behind even more. So I mean, the more the more you implant a situation when a person really doesn't have a clue about how to manage anything, experience rules.
Yeah.
But politics is one of the only worlds where we've allowed people to get away with not going through the prerequisites.
Yeah.
They just show up opportunistic and they win by 10 votes by the head of their chin.
Right.
And that's why we still fussing and fighting about some of the same stuff. Because it takes anybody time to become a subject matter expert at whatever they doing. When Crystal went into her world of being a beautician, she mentioned to us about you first have to be an assistant. There are prerequisites to everything. You
Yes.
can't just hop in the fire and think you can lead and manage if you've never led and managed.
Right.
Not to say it can't happen, but it's a skill set.
Yeah.
You can't do it in any other job. You can't do it in these big corporations that are profit generating.
Right.
They're looking at this paperwork. They're looking at this resume. If you can't come in there and sell yourself and tell your story, you won't get the job.
Right.
You're not good enough.
Right.
I don't care what you did. Just because you made a 100 on this test, and you're a great test taker, don't mean you're a good
great
teacher.
test taker. How about that? Right.
Just because you're a great test taker don't mean you're a great teacher.
Right. Right.
You may know the answers, but don't mean you can articulate the answers.
Right.
You
And
can't
always
articulate ways to get to this end result.
And always be on the learning curve. Like
Yeah.
even as a stylist now, I'm always wanting to learn from the next or somebody, and they don't have to be higher than me or equal to me. I can learn from everybody, and I'm open to learn something. These new kids, they got something. Guess what? I can learn from them. I'm not gonna listen to everything you got to say.
Right.
I have this theory where I say, what is it? Eat the meat and throw away the bones. Like, eat the meat. Get what you need to get
Right.
from whoever it is. But when these young kids, like you said, they go to these corporations, they get these classes, they done learned it, now they going to go home. Oh, I can do this on my own. I was working
They rock
production for
stars.
such and such.
Yeah, they
Now I got a
super.
whole YouTube station, and I'm good. I don't need it. I learned what I needed. But you forgot that other step, and it probably would have came 2 years from now if you would have stayed. And that person probably could have led you on to something else, but you missing it because you already thinking, I got this. I got this. Yeah, I done seen what they can do.
I didn't tell you how to put the audio in there so it can sound right.
How right.
They missed the whole aspect of just relationship building and networking in general, because for some of the answers that they can't answer themselves, they don't know who to call on.
Yeah.
They don't know a move and shake or who to call on when something is very serious.
Right.
At the job,
Yeah.
at the home, in the city.
Yeah.
You know, because you done pissed folks off.
Right.
Or you thought you was such a narcissist that you knew it all.
That's
So
it.
at that point, ain't nobody trying to rock with you.
Yeah.
They gonna let you drown, cause you done showed your hand. And that's what has taken place oftentimes in politics, man. You got people who jumping in and doing things opportunistic and showing their hand, not even knowing that it's a long game, man.
Yep.
And
That's our fault though, because we vote him in.
oh yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, if you see one person
Right.
get voted in off his popularity,
right.
what? Hey, if he
Right.
can do it. Well, I can't do it.
Yeah.
That's why we got to be better at educating ourselves on even just how politics operates.
Right. I'm gonna tell them what they want to hear.
Yeah.
They gonna vote me,
They-
and then when I
hey,
get
man.
in, I'm gonna change my mind. It's
That-
gonna be a reason why I can't be done.
Yeah, man, cause they always selling.
Yeah.
But again, there's only a handful that actually have experience to manage and lead.
Right.
It's a difference.
Right.
I'm good, bad, or indifferent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, ain't nobody gonna be 100% good all the damn time, or even our best. Even Michael Jordan had a bad game.
Right.
Not often, huh? Not often. Mike even pull up with the flu,
I don't know
and he
about- I
gonna
don't know
get
what
you
you talking
30.
about. I don't know what you
He
talking
gonna get you
about.
30, 10, and 12.
With the flu.
With the flu.
With the flu.
No, you right, man. You know Mike was a special one. That's how the mics be acting, though. That's how the mics be acting. I can't hate on Mike, man. That's how the mics be acting. Yeah, man. That shit ain't for everybody when you a Mike, man.
Yeah.
Only the sexy people. Yeah, man. But
Oh, the
we gotta
mics.
really think about the on-the-job training of some of these people we just plug and play for names, man. You know, they get in there and they're the loudest they're the loudest on the megaphone, but don't have no knowledge of what's going on in your communities. They don't have no knowledge of what's going on operationally, and they just a loud voice. And eventually they play their hand and they drown. But we, just like you said, Lab, we got to do a better job of educating ourselves on the politics, on what actually is happening. When they say they got funds to do this, what does that really look like?
We got to take the time to stop getting our news off of social media for one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to get engaged.
We got to get engaged. We got to listen to something besides social media. We got to take a break from that. Sometimes we got to read a little bit more, research. You know, a lot of people don't know that there's a lot of free books on the internet, but there are also a lot of theses, studies on certain things,
Right.
how certain things. Because what happens is when you get your PhD, if you do a good thesis, the school will publish it.
Yep.
So you'll have a published work, you know, on certain things you want to do. So you look up, you know, a certain topic, and you type it in Google, it'll pull up everything that's pertaining to that, you know, a thesis or whatever. And I read a lot of theses. I read a lot of them just because it gives you an eye, you know, coming from a student's
Right.
vantage point.
Right.
And they did some research.
Right, and they did some research about it because you have to,
Right.
in order to get that next class. But I think people need to realize those things. The internet, you know, you have a phone in your hand, you have a tablet in your hand. Use it for more than to take a selfie and post pictures or show your jewelry or show your money or your shoes or your whatever you may have
Yeah.
purchased that week. And post it. Let's talk about some things that matter for us and our children and our children's children,
Right.
because they're the future. And I mean, like I always say, our time has passed, but we got to make sure our kids are not sitting on this couch talking about exactly the same thing
Right.
Right.
we talking about.
Right.
So with that said, Mike, I want you to think about, before we get off, 5 things that as parents we can do to help our kids. And Crystal, you think of 5 things that the children can do to be more receptive to the things that we're giving, or they can do, so that we can all teach each something.
Right.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Right.
We could, you know, we need to figure out, we're not gonna have the best solution, but something's better than nothing.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So maybe something, maybe not 5, whatever you could think of. A few
Well, no,
things that
no,
may
man,
help-
no, I
help us
appreciate
out,
that, yeah.
help us to get, help us with our children on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
You know, and I was thinking about that, what you were saying, Lab, and it social media is so funny to me because I can post so much about my business. I can post a video, please follow my business, do this. But let me post a picture of my son, his birthday, or me doing something with my mom, or that, it gets way more likes than what it is with our business. And like even with now, we can go and do something. We could probably post something huge with our class if we did something fun and do a video with the class, and people would look on it. But now people don't seem so interested when we're talking about
Life.
life, the
Life.
real stuff.
Yeah,
The real stuff. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, we seen y'all on there. It was good. It was talking, but now it's like this is where we want people to be able to get that word out. And how do we change that?
That
like
narrative,
that
yeah,
narrative with so many different people. And I'm talking about like our regular people that we just have. Nobody wants. They like the cute stuff.
Yeah, they don't want. They like mess
They got
Drama.
mess. Yes.
and
Love.
love, maybe, and social
Maybe
standing.
love,
Social
right?
standing.
No, they like love. Like
They
if
like
they
love?
see if they see somebody's happy anniversary with them
Oh, you mean on
together. for
social
se-
media?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
They like, oh, he got
Okay.
down on one knee and proposed.
Okay,
Oh,
okay.
oh, look at the baby. Like that. That gets all the likes. But when you talking about people are really talking about real stuff, when I sit and
Growth
look
and
at
development,
growth and
change.
development,
Substance
change,
doesn't
substance,
mean-
stuff with
Doesn't
substance.
mean anything.
Doesn't get the same
It doesn't
attention.
get the same attention because a lot of times when they see things of substance, they feel like you're preaching to them.
Right.
And nobody wants you to tell them how to live their life.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in their psyche, they're thinking to themselves, I'm doing good. I don't need nobody tell me how to raise my kids. I don't need nobody tell me how to, go down to the school and talk to the teacher that I need to talk to.
Right,
Nobody
right.
wants to hear that. So they're not going to be receptive to those things because they feel like you're preaching to them, trying to tell them what to do. When all actuality, just try to give them a little knowledge so they can go down there and talk to the teacher the proper way, maybe get a rapport with them to where the teacher call you before something do happen. Or teacher
Well-
call you for that A falls to an F.
Right.
You know.
Well, even for that audience, who even has that mindset, and if that's their thought, definitely and we probably can do a better job of just letting everybody know, speaking to the mics why, and that's our focus is to educate, empower, and enhance the mindset of the next generation. And it's not to take anybody's place for anything anybody's doing. I mentioned it before, we need all parents to keep parenting. We need all teachers to keep teaching, and we need all preachers to keep preaching, but just allow speaking to the mic to run plays for you if you would like.
Right.
That's all it's about. There's no right or wrong over here on speaking to the mic, but it's just more or less making an awareness of conversations that are happening and that should take place.
Yeah.
Some of the things you mentioned, Lab, about just giving the parents something that just some thoughts before we even get off on the show. And I think one of the most important things, man, is taking back control of decision making in the house.
Yes.
I think if parents take back over control of decision making, our kids will receive that and move accordingly before they get to the age where they don't want no feedback, where they don't want no challenging,
Right.
where they don't want no criticism. I think if we continue to drive, maybe like we were driven,
Right.
where until we got to the point where we decided to make decisions based on our own, but we knew the mindset, we knew maybe the visions and values and belief system that those who we were of presented to us. I think we got to do a better job as parents and guardians of this community and driving decisions again.
Yeah.
Not allowing for the youth to have decision rights when they should not have decision rights. They should not be making grown folks decisions at certain ages. So we got to do a better job of that. We got to do a better job of having a partnership with those who need to be partners within the home of this next generation, in home or out of the home.
Right.
Because these are the people that the next generation are asking questions of. And that comes with whether I agree with you or I don't agree with you, I won't make you look bad for that person.
Right.
Because I know he or she is going to come to both of us with questions
Right.
and want answers.
Right.
And we don't want them questioning the answer that they're getting from each individual.
Yeah.
We got to do a better job of partnering again, whether I agree with you or I don't. I know what the ultimate goal is. The ultimate goal is for our kids to be blessed beyond belief.
Right.
The ultimate goal is for our kids to go out and be leaders where they can be a legacy for their kids, where they can take authority and be great. Right. That's what we got to do for our next generation. But it happens with us creating partnerships and understanding what relationship building is. If we don't show them relationship building with those that we like and we don't like, they're not going to do it with those who they don't have a damn clue about.
Exactly. Let me ask you, and this is funny to me, decision making in your household. Do y'all you have 3 kids and you and your wife, do y'all have 5 different meals for dinner?
Not at all.
No, and this is serious, right?
Never has happened.
Because you get people who
Never would.
Well,
I
she
ain't gonna
doesn't
say
eat
anything
this.
possible.
One doesn't eat this, and one eats this, and one eats this, and it's like,
The only place it happens is when we go and sit down and we're paying for food.
Right, and you get and that's when they should
have
understand
it your
that's
way.
when you get to have it your way,
Have
when
it
you
your
get
way.
to order it. But when you're at
the
home,
house.
the decision starts at the top. That's why these kids are so much in control when they can control what time
Ain't
they're
no
what-
cafeteria plans at the house.
Exactly. I don't like that toothpaste. I don't like
Right.
what we doing. Like, and those are the simple things, but those
Simple.
small decision makings that kids are being able to make now, and it's like, well, we let the kids have a voice. It's a difference between having a voice and letting them make decisions
And running the house.
and running the household.
Yeah, it's a difference.
So what I would say with the kids is trust your parents. You gonna eat it or you gonna go to bed hungry.
Yeah.
You gonna eat it or you'll go to bed hungry. Now
You-
tomorrow
you
night,
will
guess
be
what? We're gonna do the
alright.
same thing.
You're not
know?
gonna get sick.
'Cause
You're
that's
not
it.
gonna be bleeding out.
That's it.
You will wake up and be all right, and then
Yeah.
you're gonna say, "Well, I guess I will eat those corn pops that's been sitting on top of the fridge because I'm hungry. They hadn't made anything, but I'm hungry."
Yeah. And so my response to that for the kids' vision is I would tell kids to trust your parents. Like my niece, I have her, and it's always this why. Where we going? How long go? What? I asked her, I said, let me ask you this. Do you trust your TT? Like, do you really trust me? Yes, TT. So why you gotta ask me all these questions about where we going to?
Yeah,
Like,
trust
trust
me.
the process.
I got
I'm
your
not,
back.
believe me, I'm not here to hurt you. I used to ask my son that. Explain to me what I would get about making you fail. Like, what am I getting out of helping you fail in life?
Other than working hard.
Right.
Other than having
So
to clean
can you
something up.
trust my opinion if I tell you you need to clean up? Like, you're cleaning up for a reason.
Right.
You're learning how to clean up. Like now, my son cleans up immaculate. Like he is one of those guys that will really, really clean up. Now that room, that's a whole nother thing. But close that door and that's your stuff. But my rest of my place, he knows how to move stuff and wipe up under it and move it back. Not just
Not wipe around
Not
it.
wipe around it.
Yeah.
He knows how to really clean
Yeah.
up. But those were things that was set early. And kids just gotta know to trust the parents. So that goes back to you going to the second one was with partnership. Parents have to be on the same page. One can't say one thing in one ear and the other one's because kids read that real quick.
Yeah.
Kids read it real quick and they are the master manipulators. They know exactly what to do and how to do it against each parent. So then you're in your bed with your back turned to each other because y'all both mad about a decision you didn't make.
Right.
But partnerships in marriage, I tell people kids will alter a marriage because you're going on how you was raised and how you want to raise your kids. Your spouse is going on how they were raised and now how they want to raise their kids. So you have 4 different elements coming into
Taking place.
this one place, and husband and wife ain't never got together and said, this is what we're going to do if we have kids and this is how we're going to do it. We're going to always stick with one. And don't get me wrong, it's going to be some times you're going to slip up, but nobody ever has that pre-conversation about kids. Like, what are
Beforehand.
you going to deal with the kids? But once the kids know that there's no partnership, oh, they winning.
Right.
That's why the decisions get made with the kids.
Right.
That's
right.
how, so kids, you need to learn how to trust your parents. Parents need to show the partnership within them. And once kids see that partnership, they need to respect that. Respect that partnership. I don't care if me and your dad are disagreeing. You don't go to your dad and you don't go to your mom or do something to go back and
And
forth.
put them in
So,
competition.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, that's what we giving you guys. You know,
Let's
when we
see
have
what
these
they say.
conversations on here, we got a question before we get off.
Let's see. They were just going over the 5 meals. Who cooking 5 meals? 1 meal.
Shame
Yeah.
on some of them, but it's happening, y'all. Don't think it's not happening. Shame on them. They probably didn't grow up around 225, the west side like us, but it's happening.
Yes.
And unfortunately, we've had to embrace everybody who wasn't like us, y'all. It's just a fact of life, y'all. You take the good, you take the bad, you take them all, and that's what you have.
The facts of life. The facts of
Speaking
life.
to the mic, man. Thank y'all
Yes.
for joining us tonight. Succession planning. Will the next generation be ready? Get yourselves together, y'all. We got to direct these kids. We got to direct our spouses, our friends, our mothers, our fathers, our grandparents, our youth. We got to direct them, y'all. Stop letting them off the hook. Stop letting people get away with opportunities. Question these politicians. Question the school system. Succession planning. Think about who's next. That family reunion is coming back around. We're going to start back having these family reunions. Don't let anybody bring the potato salad and the sweet potato pie to the party. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. Always make sure you're reaching out to us, even if we're not on the show, and speaking to the mic ATL on Facebook and Instagram and everything else. I'm getting good with that. I'm learning.
I
Speaking
saw
to the
you.
mic. Back at you. Yo.
Recorded, man. I can dig it.
Right on.
Hey, man, what's your name? Everything is everything. Get down and play, boy, I'm telling you.
Mother, mother, there's too many of you crying. Brother, 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 there's far too many of you dying. You know we've got to find a way to bring some loving here today. Yeah. Mother, father, we don't need to escalate. You see, war is not the answer, for only love can conquer hate.